Hello, wonderful people. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. I am Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe. It is important that people understand what is happening through prophetic insight, and this will help you to understand when the wrong narrative is being peddled with regards to the event of Biafra and that of Nigeria. Current events in Nigeria and Biafra will be analyzed through a prophetic lens, not through ethnic colorations, not through regionalism, not through religion, not through bias, not through anything that will not give you the right perspective. It is through prophetic lens. That is the focus. Through this video, I'm going to offer you unique insight and perspectives on the potential impact and meaning of these events. Consider a deeper understanding of the world around you. A deeper understanding of the world around you. Nothing happens physically without spiritual rooting. Whatever that you see, the manifestation physically, certain events are propelled and originated from the spiritual dimension. And it will take the prophetic lens to see beyond the obvious, to see beyond the natural, to see beyond the physical. The Bible says in the book of Jeremiah chapter 7 verse 25 to 27, from the time your forefathers left Egypt until now, day after day, again and again, I sent you my servant the prophet. Verse 26, they did not listen to me or pay attention. Despite the fact that I sent them my servant the prophets, they did not listen to me or pay attention, that they may have prophetic insight on current events in their own times and generation. But unfortunately, in the verse 26, they did not listen to me or pay attention. Are you listening? Are you going to pay attention? God continued to say, they were stiff-necked. They were stiff-necked, very obstinate, very, very stubborn, and did more evil. And they, rather than paying attention and listening to God through his servant the prophet, they did more evil and became more stubborn than their fathers. Verse 27, when you tell them all this, they will not listen to you. They will not listen to you. When you call to them, they will not answer. This is what God said to Jeremiah. What is prophetic lens? Prophetic lens, it is the power of seeing beyond the surface of current events. It is the power of seeing beyond the surface of current events. And this can only be made possible through prophecy. Prophetic lens can also be described as a way of looking at something spiritually. A way of looking at something spiritually. A way of looking at something figuratively. A way of looking at certain events. Whether it is politics, whether it is ethnicity, occurrences or ethnic occurrences, whether it is things that have ethnic colorations or not. Whether it has to do with culture, whether it has to do with economy. Looking at something spiritually. Looking at something figuratively. Looking at something symbolically. That is the prophetic lens. The current event in Nigeria and Biafra will be well understood through a prophetic lens. Through a prophetic lens. Not what the media tells you that is not true. Not the propaganda. Not the distorted views or perspectives of certain narratives that are being sold to you through different channels or mediums of communication. Okay? The current event in Nigeria, whether it's in the south, whether it is in the north, whether it's in the west, whether it's in the east, will be well understood through a prophetic lens, looking beyond the surface of politics, looking beyond the surface of ethnicity, looking beyond the surface of tribalism. These are certain surfaces that have blinded the eyes of so many Nigerians, Igbos and Biafrans alike. These are certain surfaces that have limited the understanding, the deeper understanding, a brighter or a foresight or insight of what is happening. Looking beyond the surface of religion, looking beyond the surface of economy, looking beyond the surface of regionalism, because these are surfaces an aspect that they tend to push your focuses to, that they tend to calibrate your understanding to run with, rather than looking beyond them. What is being told you, looking beyond it. The narratives, looking beyond them. Without a prophetic lens, an entire generation can be lost through the preponderance of misleading narratives in politics, through the preponderance misleading narratives in the media that has ethnic colorations, through the preponderance, so overwhelming misleading narratives in regionalism. They will tell you, oh, it is because he's from Igbo, oh, it is because he's from the south, oh, it is because he's from the Niger Delta, oh, it is because he's from the minority, or we are the minority. They say we are the minority. Oh, it is because he's an Igbo man, or he's a Biafran. These are the narratives that they push to you, that you may swallow and take hook, line, and sinker. But through prophetic lens, you can see beyond the preponderance of all these misleading narratives. Through prophetic lens, you can recognize political and ethnic or religious patterns and themes. It is through prophecy that you can understand. Not only understanding, that you can take note of, that you can recognize political or ethnic or religious patterns and themes that point towards a larger narrative in the Nigerian and the Biafran current events. Talking of political or ethnic or religious patterns, I mean how politics is used, how ethnicity is used, how religion are all being used in Nigerian and the Biafran issues, which points to a larger narrative. For instance, do you know that many Christians in the 2015 presidential election, they voted for the former president of Nigeria, General Muhammadu Buhari, because of Pastor Professor Yemi Oshibanjo? Do you know that? You know, sometimes we have that loss of memory. We don't retain information. We don't seem to understand and follow up certain events for a very long time. We have a short span of attention, a short span of focus, trying to use them to compare what happened before, what is happening now, and to be able to preempt or anticipate or predict what could possibly happen in the nearest future. That was the truth. Muhammadu Buhari, many Nigerians knew his political track record or antecedents. They understand what happened in the 1983. They understand a lot of things. It's not the focus of this broadcast, but I'm trying to remind you. So, when Professor Pastor Yemi Oshibanjo from the Redeemed Christian Church of God was presented as the running mate and the potential vice president to Muhammadu Buhari, many Christians say, oh, a pastor is coming out as the vice president. That means the affairs and things that pertains to the concerns or that raises the questions in the Christian faith will be addressed. That was the belief. Many of them believed it. That, oh, now that a pastor and a professor of law is going to be the vice president, that means there is going to be a strict adherence to the rule of law in that very administration. Only the Redeemed Christian Church of God alone was capable of mobilizing millions of Christians across the country and in all the countries of the world that they have their members or their branches to support that very emergence of Muhammadu Buhari and Professor Pastor Yemi Oshibanjo. Do you know that? And what happened? For two terms or tenures, which is a total of 8 good years, what became of Nigeria in terms of economy, in terms of security, in terms of GDPs? What became of Nigeria? Today you know what is the story. You know the scorecard. This is what they use. The pattern that they use, it is political. The pattern is ethnic. The pattern is religious. These are patterns and so many other patterns that they use in order to bamboozle Nigerians and to force them to swallow hook, line, and sinker certain narratives to their own advantage and to the disadvantage and detriment of the Nigerian entire populace. They use the politics of regionalism. It is our turn, it is our region. They use the politics of ethnicity. Oh, he's my tribesman, he's coming from my own, he's my countryman, he's my tribesman. They use the politics of tribalism, religion, politics, nepotism, ethnicity to underestimate or despise competence and accountability. These are what they use. And also, you can understand the theme, the political or ethnic or religious theme. What is theme? By themes, I mean a concept of multiple instantiations. A concept of multiple instantiations. What is instantiations? I'm trying to say creating instances of different class or template. Creating instances of different class or templates. Without a prophetic lens, you may not be able to recognize all this. Understanding the spiritual dimensions of unfolding events. How do we understand the spiritual dimensions of unfolding events in Nigeria and Biafra? It is through the prophetic. It is through the discernment of the Spirit of God. It is through the revelational knowledge of the Spirit of God. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs chapter 29 verse 18, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Isaiah chapter 6 verse 9 to 10. And he said, go and tell these people, hear ye indeed, but understand not. Hear ye indeed, but understand not. Just like some of you are listening now, some of you are hearing what I'm saying now. Are you understanding or are you not understanding? That is what God said. He was talking to his servant, the prophet Isaiah. Go and tell these people, hear ye indeed, but understand not. And see ye indeed, but perceive not. You see things, but you cannot perceive what is really happening. You see the killings. You see the destruction of farmlands in different regions of Nigeria, but you don't understand what is going on. You see the insecurities, the kidnappings for ransoms happening. These are current events, but you don't understand what is really playing out. You see the terrorism in the north, the northeast, the north central, or the northwest. You still cannot understand where all these are leading to. You hear the men of God speak to you. You hear the prophet of God give prophecies and give directions on what to do to salvage the situation and to secure the future of millions of Nigerians and Igbos or Biafrans. Still, you don't understand what the prophet is saying. Verse 10 says, make the heart of these people fat. Make the heart of these people fat. And make their ears heavy. Make their ears heavy. And shut their eyes. And shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and be converted, and be healed. So, without seeing with your eyes, without the prophetic insight or the prophetic lens, you cannot really hear and understand what you're hearing. You cannot really see and have a better perspective of what you're seeing, a better understanding of what you are seeing. You cannot really be able to understand where the Nigerian pattern or theme of politics or ethnicity are leading millions of Nigerians to. You can never ever be able to understand it in your heart. And when you don't understand it, you cannot be converted. You cannot arrive at a conclusion that yes, this is not normal. Yes, this is so devilish and demonic and we have to do something about it. And if you are not converted, you cannot be healed. The country will continue to bleed profusely. The country will continue to be plunged into the depth of destructive seas of sorrows and pains. You cannot be healed. The ongoing Nigerian economic crisis has potential connection to prophecy. You need to understand it. The Bible is a book of prophecy and history. The Bible, it is not just a book of salvation. It is not just a book that talks about eternal life. It is a book of prophecy and history. Prophecy tells of the past, it tells of the present, and it tells of the future events. And you know that history focuses on the past. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 2 says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Nigerians are mourning. Nigerians are in pain. The pain is quite indescribable. You cannot really understand what is going on in the economy of Nigeria, what is going on in the politics of Nigeria, what is going on in different regions. You can't fathom it. It is beyond human understanding and comprehension. And all this has connection to prophecy. All this happening and many more that may happen in the nearest future, they all have connection to prophecy. And the Bible is speaking to us as a book of prophecy, that where the wicked is bearing rule, when the wicked bear rule, when the wicked is in position of authority, when the wicked is the president, when the wicked is the senator, when the wicked is the governor, when the wicked is the House of Representatives, when the wicked is the monarch, when the wicked is the royal majesty or the royal highness of his community, when the wicked is the counselor, when the wicked is the commissioner, when the wicked is the minister, just like what you see in River State, the people mourn. There is no family in Nigeria that there is no seasons or times or phases of mourning. Not because they lost their beloved ones, not because of natural death, but because of what the economy, what the misgovernance in Nigeria have brought upon them. John chapter 8 verse 32 says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Anytime you fight or walk against the truth, you end up with the lies and falsehood that are being sold to you. Anytime, both your freedom, your peace, and prosperity will be lost when you engage in fighting or walking against the truth. Former President Goodluck Jonathan meant very well for Nigerians in his people-driven economic plans and policies. But he was boxed and kicked out of office by the proponent of change. You know, the change slogan, which was influenced by the former US President Barack Hussein Obama. God warned Nigerians about the so-called change in Proverbs chapter 24 verse 21. God warned them. I remember that when the campaign for the overthrow of the incumbent administration led by Goodluck Jonathan was going on, I made a specific post with this very scripture that I quoted now, Proverbs 24 verse 21. What does it say? My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. And meddle not with them that are given to change. But Nigerians refuse to listen. They say, oh, change. At the end of the day, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan was forcefully removed out of office, and the so-called change was ushered in. And people began to cry, oh, we thought it was the real change. Now we are in chain. Now we are in chain. And up to now, Nigerians have not come out of that chain, all in the name of change. The proponent of the change, they brought former President Muhammadu Buhari to power under APC, and in the same chain of power is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How many of you still remember the Bring Back Our Girls campaign organizers and protesters who took to the street, who, whether it was in Abuja, in different parts of the country, even outside the country? How many of you still remember them? Who protested against the then president, Goodluck Jonathan? How many of you? How many of the girls have been brought back? Bring back our girls. Have the girls been brought back? The Chibok girls, have they been brought back? Are all of them reunited to their families? As Obama promised? As President Buhari promised? Have they been brought back? Who has accounted for the numbers of the Chibok girls who have been brought back as a result of the ushering in of the change that was promised Nigerians in the administration of the former president? Did they end Boko Haram? That is the question. Did they end Boko Haram? Did he revive and prosper the economy of Nigeria? Did he build the 4 refineries that he promised Nigerians? That he was going to build 1 refinery 1 year. Every year he will build 1 refinery. That was in his first tenure of 1 year, 4 years. In his first tenure of 4 years, he promised, in this first tenure of 4 years, I will build 1 refinery 1 year. Did he equal $1 to 1 naira as promised? And here we are in the same chain of power. Now the Tinubu-led federal government. The rise of terrorism, violent crimes in different regions of Nigeria, and the political crisis in Rivers State. If they are allowed to continue, all this terrorism, all these violent crimes in different regions, this very political crisis in Rivers State, if they are allowed to continue, the implication for the future generation is that they will become the standard. You know what I call the new normal? You know what I call the new normal? Oh, this is now the new normal. So what are we going to do? Let's try and adjust to live with it, and see how we can be able to make something out of it. You know, life must go on. We believe that one day it's going to change. We believe that one day things are going to change. Do you know Imo State, River State, and Akwa Ibom or Cross River State have been highly contested for as a jewel or as jewel and key states in order to form a political and geographic triangle for the total takeover of the Southeast. Whether you say the South, you know, I'm talking about the old Eastern region, the Southeast, the South as is called. That is what it is. More especially Imo State and River State. Imo State and River State. Ebonyi State and Enugu are seen as the easiest catch by deep penetrations of the caliphate in their politics, governance, and some traditional rulers. So Imo State has been taken. How many of you know that Imo State has been taken by almost 70% and hurriedly being occupied from the bushes, from the forests, through many anti-people's policies? River State is about to go, as you can see. River State is about to go, as you can see. There is a grip on the state, on River State right now. There is a grip on it. And the grip is tightening by months and years. If nothing is done to weaken and disarm the grip, then you might as well bid River State goodbye. River State, Akwa Ibom State, or Cross River State, these states are very strategic in their political and their geographic triangle that they are trying to form for the total takeover of the East and the South. Please, if you are just joining, like this broadcast immediately. That is the first thing to do. I am Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe. Like this broadcast immediately. Share the broadcast everywhere you know. We must continue. As I was trying to say about the triangular principle for a political or geographic takeover, I was talking about Cross River State, and I was talking about Akwa Ibom, I was talking about Imo State, I talked about Enugu, I talked about Ebonyi State, and I'm talking about River State as well. So Imo State has been taken. The grip is so very, very tight on River State right now. It's been dragged. Okay? And after that, the next is Akwa Ibom State or Cross River State. Of course, we know that Bakassi Peninsula, which was a part of Cross River State, was ceded to Cameroon by the Olusegun Obasanjo-led administration in compliance with the Green Tree Agreement, which was ruled at I think International Court of Justice in 2002. That was when the ruling took place. the International Court of Justice 2002, the Green Tree Agreement, there was a ruling by that very court. That was during the administration of the then former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, not Goodluck Jonathan. Okay? So, that very part of Cross River State, the Bakassi Peninsula, was ceded to Cameroon under the Green Tree Agreement, which was a former treaty that resolved the Cameroonian, or should I say the Cameroon-Nigerian border dispute over Bakassi Peninsula. The Cameroon and the Nigerian border dispute, many of you have lost that very information. Many of you are not even aware of it. That was in 2002. So there was a serious dispute because Bakassi Peninsula was so rich in oil and natural gas. And the dispute started all the way from 1913, 1981, 1994, and finally 1996, which was later taken to the International Court of Justice. And on the 10th of October 2002, the ICJ ruled in the favor of Cameroon. On the 12th of June 2006, at the Green Tree, New York, President Obasanjo and Paul Biya of Cameroon, they signed an agreement to implement the court ruling. The court ruling was that Bakassi should be ceded to Cameroon. So both of them, they signed the agreement. The Nigerian Senate, do you know that the Senate voted a resolution that the ceding of Bakassi to Cameroon was illegal, because the June 2006 agreement wasn't, as at the time, was not ratified by the Nigerian National Assembly. Now, you may not understand all of this, but I want to bring to your remembrance that the template or the map for the conquest will be completed or will be implemented at the Atlantic Ocean. Can you remember the conquest I'm talking about? That very map and the template will be completed, will be implemented at the Atlantic Ocean. Go and do a research about that. Therefore, they won't take lightly any resistance in any form, any obstruction in any form, from anyone, from any group, from anyone. They will not take lightly any potential threats to the template or the map of their conquest until they get to the Atlantic Ocean. The increasing frequency of destruction of farmlands and crops, including rapings, including the kidnappings for ransom, including the killings, and their spiritual significance is to beat and terrify the indigenous peoples into submission and acceptance of the wider agendas of the total conquest of the Atlantic Ocean. Where is the Atlantic Ocean in this part of the country? Where is the Atlantic Ocean? Where is called the Bight of Biafra? Where is it located at? Now, interpreting signs and symbols. Interpreting signs and symbols. Most of the things I've mentioned so far, they are part of the signs. The Atlantic Ocean is a symbol. Is a symbol of total conquest of the south, of the east. This you need to understand. That is the template. That is the map. In decoding symbolic language in news headlines, whether in political speeches, whether it is cultural trends, we discovered a kind of mixtures of propaganda, social engineering, psychological manipulation, and distractions from issues with potential to truncate or derail that very trajectory to destruction of hope on the unrealistic or delusional oneness, unity, or a better version of the country. There are people who are hoping on the possibility of a one Nigeria, the possibility of a comprehensive or total unity of Nigeria, or better still, a better version of Nigeria. There are people that their hopes are still there. And any event, any issue that has the potential to truncate or to derail that very trajectory, it is a trajectory to destroy that hope, that unrealistic hope. Some of the things with the Biafra liberation movement is a trajectory that wants to destroy that very unrealistic hope of the oneness of Nigeria, of the unity of Nigeria, or a better version of Nigeria, because it is unrealistic. And the Biafra movement has become a trajectory. It has the potential to truncate and to derail. Do you understand what I'm saying now? This very unrealistic hope to make the people wake up from their delusionness, to force the people to come to their consciousness that this hope is unrealistic. A better version of Nigeria is unrealistic. For Nigeria to become one is unrealistic. That Nigeria will be united and pull in the same direction as a nation is unrealistic. So anything that comes to derail, anything that comes to help the people to understand that this is unrealistic, we have to wake up, we have to rise up and embrace the truth and agitate or move in unison for the better possibility to fulfill our potential as a people. Whatever that comes to do that, they are considered as a potential threat to the government, as a potential threat to the faulty foundation of this very republic, or should I say federation, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Looking into the role of dreams and visions as prophetic indicators, we have to read the book of Amos chapter 3 verse 7. The Bible says that surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophet. The sovereign Lord, surely we do nothing. God will do nothing. God is not a one-man squad, as we used to say. He has his servant, the prophet, that he reveals his map to, that he reveals his will to, that he tries to inform them of his will and purpose for the well-being of the people. His servant, the prophet. The Bible says in Ezekiel chapter 33 verse 7, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. So hear the word I speak, and give them warning from me. Hear the word that I speak and give them warning from me. This is what I do when the need arises. I don't just hesitate when God speaks to me to speak to Biafrans, to speak to Nigerians, to speak to people, whether individuals and organizations, about his will, about his plan for them. God said to Ezekiel, I have made you a watchman over the house of Israel. You will hear the word that I speak. I will speak to you, whether through dreams, whether through revelation, whether audibly, whether through signs or symbols. I will speak to you. And your duty is to give them warning from me. So, when a real prophet speaks to you of potential dangers of what is happening, as I'm bringing to you the prophetic insight on current events, I'm not speaking of myself. God says this is what you have to do. So to disregard or to disagree with the message is not to my personal disadvantages, but yours. It is not hurting me. It's not going to hurt me. I am not going to lose anything. There's no profit I'm going to lose if people refuse to heed to my prophetic warnings. The insight, the teachings, the prophecies I bring to you to direct the people on what to do, that they may be better off of their circumstances or situations, and they chooses to disregard or to disagree with me, God will even bless me more for the boldness and for the tenacity or the commitment to deliver the message he has given to me for the people. I have my reward. and their disobedience or their refusal to comply with the prophetic insights or provisions or instructions will not deprive me of my reward from God. Never. The importance of discerning between true and false prophecy is to avoid misdirection, is to avoid misinformation, is to avoid contradictions. It is to avoid unpleasant outcomes. And this is why people must be wary of different type of prophecies that they hear. There are many people, many men of God who prophesied before and during the 2023 presidential elections. Many of them said that P2B will emerge the winner or will be declared the president of Nigeria. And I came out and I said, no, it will not happen. That was what God told me, that they will never allow P2B to become the president of Nigeria. When I gave that prophecy on the 26th of June 2022, and I gave another prophecy in the month of July 2022, I gave another prophecy in the same direction in the month of February, 24th of February, the eve of the presidential election 2023. And I told them that going for the election is not the way out of your pains, out of your problems. What you should be championing and going out for should be for referendum, that the people may decide their fate. I told them that the aspiration of Mr. P2B to become the president of Nigeria, which is the Igbo presidency, is misplaced and a wrong priority for the Igbos or Biafran people. That they should all be talking about the implementation of the United Nations judgment and other high court judgments in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu to release him. That the way to go is the way of freedom. The way to go is referendum. And they said no. When they look at the mammoth crowd that always troop out to support P2B, when they look at all the events that were going on, they were looking at the surface. They were just looking at the surface. Oh, we are the structure. Oh, we are the structure. The people are the structure. Obi kererenke, Obi one name, Obi kererenke. How many of you still remember? How many of you still sing that song today? How many of you still sing it? How many of you? Some brands that even came out to sell, how many of them are still in circulation or in the market? They will be kererenke stuff, the song and the tracks and all that. Now they are preparing again for 2027 election to remain in the same cycle, running around a vicious cycle like a blind horse without making a headway. How long will you continue in this very trajectory? How long will you continue without prophetic insight on current events to understand what to do? How long? How long? I ask you. If you are just joining, I am Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe. Please like this broadcast and share. Like this broadcast and share it immediately, because when you do, a lot of people are going to take note of it, and it is going to help some of them to understand what to do. Navigating uncertain times. We are looking at the book of Isaiah chapter 30 verse 20 to 21. What does it say? Although the Lord gives you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, your teachers will be hidden no more. Your teachers will be hidden no more. With your own eyes you will see them. With your own eyes you will see them. Your teachers, the prophets, the men of God. I am one of them. It's not by pride. I didn't call myself. It took me 10 years to submit to the call of God. It took me 10 years. I told God, I'm not going to do this work. I will not be a pastor. I told God, but God insisted. It took 10 years and 10 months before I accepted. So I didn't become a pastor or a prophet in a hurry, or out of one of the fantasies or one of the interests that some people have in answering the call. Never. God says your teachers will be hidden no more. With your own eyes you will see them. As you are seeing me now on the screen, I am one of your teachers. In this generation, I am one of your teachers. You need to listen. You need to pay attention to your own advantage and to the advantage of the entire race and populace. Verse 21 says, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. This is the way, walk in it. As I've been telling you, this is the way, walk in it. Release Nnamdi Kanu, that is the way. Walk in it. Allow Biafra to go. Just like in the days of Egypt and Israel. If that Pharaoh had the understanding of a better future, the possibility of a future bilateral agreement with Israel, he wouldn't have allowed himself to be destroyed and the entire army of Egypt to be destroyed. And the plagues that was brought upon his country, he wouldn't have allowed it. Today, Egypt and Israel, they still have bilateral agreements. They still have trade. They still have... Do you understand what I'm saying now? The then Pharaoh was blinded. He didn't see the future. That the freedom of Israel will also be of a great advantage to Egypt in the future. God says, your teachers will not be hidden. You will see them with your eyes. And when you turn to the right or you turn to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. That is prophetic insight on current events. Now, cultivating a mindset of hope and resilience in the midst of current challenges will help you to survive the times and seasons. You have to cultivate a mindset of hope. Don't lose hope. You have to be resilient in the midst of the current challenges and the current events. This will help you to survive the times and the seasons. Seeking guidance and wisdom from spiritual sources will also help and sustain you and provide you with the right steps in the right direction. Living a life that aligns with prophetic insights makes you victorious and puts you in the advantage or in advantage of the circumstance. I want to encourage you to engage with prophetic resources on my channel or platform and develop your own discernment skills, to determine certain events and what to do about them. I promote a sense of community and shared understanding among those who are seeking for deeper meaning both in current and other events. This channel is a platform for respectful, interesting discussions and exploration of prophetic perspectives. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon. I am Pastor Maxwell Nnawuihe.
Subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow Maxwell Nnawuihe for more updates. Follow us on YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Instagram for more updates.
When people feel secure, then they mind their own businesses. Now, the ball is in your court, in the sense that I try to make sure elections are free and fair. Make sure you honestly and practically educate your constituency and you ask for their votes. I assure you, I will continue to do my best in terms of security and the economy. Fighting corruption in Nigeria is extremely difficult. It's so sophisticated. It's very difficult, but I'll keep on trying. And I thank God that nobody can point accusing fingers at me, either of having companies or mentions anywhere in the country. I thank God that I try to keep myself as clean as possible so that I cannot be made a hostage. The problem, people will watch and allow you to make one or two mistakes and then they will make 1,000 mistakes. I will do my best to make sure that Nigerians that try hard succeed in their efforts. I thank you very much. And Governor of Imo State, I cannot thank you enough, but I will be careful with your future invitations. Thank you very much.